Alright guys, almost 30 minutes on that first part here. Where was I? Who was your favorite wrestler to never be world champion? Godson92. Once again, I have two. What is the worst movie you have reviewed for the channel? And have you ever read the manga Uzumaki? I've heard great things about the manga, but I haven't read it myself. Worst movie I've reviewed for the channel. There's been some bad ones. I'd have to say Bride of Chucky, Seed of Chucky, those were some pretty bad movies. The Woman in Black with Harry Potter was a pretty bad movie. And that Dark Shadows with Johnny Depp was freaking terrible. I hated that movie. I was so bored in the theater for that one. I was surprised just how terrible that movie was. Operation Anime 262. What state are you from? Don't say California or Florida because everyone seems to come from either California or Florida. I'm actually from North Carolina. RFV089. Apart from wrestling, what other sports do you watch? No other sports. What are your favorite episodes of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia? Nightman Cometh is probably my favorite episode. Any episodes with the Nightman were good. I like the one where Frank and Max start a sweatshop and they force Charlie and Dee to be the workers, and Dennis tries to sell dresses. I like the Gas Crisis episode. The episode where they find Dumpster Baby. Just so many from the first few seasons. It feels like it kind of went backwards the past 3 seasons, I'd say. But those first few seasons, you cannot beat that show. It is awesome. One of my favorite shows of all time. What TV series do you watch? I watch a lot of stuff. And I'm trying to think what's on my DVR right now. I got a lot of stand-up comedy on there. I like Modern Family, The Middle. The shows I review, obviously, American Horror Story, Walking Dead, Dexter. I've been watching that Total Blackout show. That's hilarious. I've been watching King of the Nerds. That's another reality show. I've been watching The Joe Schmo Show. Any other TV shows? There's a lot of shows I want to watch, like Breaking Bad I need to catch up on. Sons of Anarchy I need to catch up on. I actually did watch the first 3 seasons of Sons of Anarchy, I believe, but I kind of got busy and was moving and stuff and wasn't able to watch it. Now I'm behind. And I hear Game of Thrones is really good. A friend of mine told me to start watching that one. The J-Rock Freak. Do you ever watch any wrestling matches from the 70s or 80s? Well, I actually watch those because occasionally, like one of my subscribers who I'm good friends with on YouTube, Solex, would send me some videos of old matches from those eras. And when people send me videos to watch, I'll check them out. Old matches and stuff, like Hogan versus Inoki. But I don't go out of my way to watch a lot of old matches or anything. Especially when there's so many just from the past few eras that I really enjoy. Stuff from the 80s, the late 80s, stuff from the early 90s, stuff from the Attitude Era, stuff from WCW. That's the stuff I typically will go back and rewatch. Early 2000s. Jacob 700E. If it's okay, I'm asking 3. 1, do you like pie? Yes. 2, who do you think is going to win Money in the Bank this year? Probably Antonio Cesaro or Wade Barrett. I would prefer Cesaro. 3, are you a brony? No, I can't even believe that's a thing. Apparently a brony, if you don't know, is somebody who likes My Little Pony. It's bizarre. There's got to be something I'm missing about this. I don't understand it. Maybe I'm too old or something, but I know they have a cartoon. I remember these things when I was a kid. Like, it's what, like, guys would have the G.I. Joe's, girls would play with My Little Ponies and stuff. So something happened recently. I guess they got a new cartoon and it's really good or something, because people have turned into bronies. If somebody can explain it to me, please do. Insane Tombstone 96. If you could ask The Undertaker one question, what would it be? Probably what his least favorite part of the gimmick has been, his least favorite storyline angle. Because I remember when he had to wear that goofy Phantom of the Opera mask. And I thought that was a little cheesy. Some of the stuff they did with the urn was a little cheesy. The Executioner feud. I'm just curious what Undertaker would say he didn't like. Have you ever met any wrestlers? At Ring of Honor shows, I did meet the Briscoes. You could get autographs with some of the guys. I didn't really get autographs with them, but they were at the table. So I guess I would say Roderick Strong, World's Greatest Tag Team, Jay Lethal. Trying to think. I've been to some indie shows, or Ring of Honor is an indie show, but some local indie shows where they've had guys like John Laurinaitis was there, and I got to talk to him a little bit. He kind of skipped out. I think Jimmy Valiant, I did get to meet him. And I want to say Wahoo McDaniel, but I was pretty young for that, so I can't really be certain. Favorite WWE Diva of all time, Trish Stratus. Who was your pick to win the Royal Rumble 2013? My pick was John Cena. I figured he would win, but who I would like to have seen win, that's kind of tough, because you have to keep in mind that they're going to have a match at Mania against the champion, and I would like to watch a good match rather than somebody like Ryback. I think Ryback could have benefited from winning, but then I'd have to watch Ryback versus The Rock, and that sounds horrible. So I guess have CM Punk keep the title and have Daniel Bryan win the Royal Rumble. may not be a big buy rate, but I'd like it. At what age did you start watching wrestling? I can't remember exactly. I was very young, though. I do remember that. And I have pictures of me dressed up like wrestlers, probably 6 years old. Challenge Talks. Check your inbox, asked you questions. I did check my inbox to see if there was any questions like I could do with the Jericho Rocker question at the beginning, but I didn't see anything really. Or if it's stuff we've already talked about or I answered. NJ17. Let's have a drink. Any, what would you drink? If you're talking about alcohol, I would say Budweiser, Bud Light, Heineken, pretty much anything, any beer. Not a huge fan of liquor. If I go out, I'll have like a Long Island iced tea. Whatever somebody I'm with orders, I'll get that. I don't really have a particular drink. Apple Teenies for Christopher Daniels, I guess. But yeah, I'm mostly a beer guy. And if we're talking about just regular water, I drink milk and I drink water. That is it. I don't drink any soda. What's your favorite show? Well, it used to be Dexter. But now I would have to say Walking Dead is a show I really look forward to. When it comes to Dexter, who is your favorite season, episode, character, and why? 4 is the best season, my opinion, of course, but I find it hard for anybody to argue against that. Trinity is the best character as far as villains go, and I like the episode that wraps everything up where Trinity kills Rita, because I remember watching that show, no spoilers. If somebody spoiled that, I would have been so pissed. Watching that episode and being like, holy shit. At first, I didn't believe it. I thought it was a dream sequence. Like, surely they weren't going to kill off Rita, and Dexter was just imagining something like this happening. And then when it ended, I was like, did he just kill Rita? So that was definitely my favorite episode. Love that whole season though. Trinity really made that one. Who would you have in each champion in WWE TNA? I guess you're talking about for all the belts, for the tag team in WWE. Tyson Kidd and Justin Gabriel, but that's one of those things where they don't really have a lot of teams to feud with. Now that they broke up Team Hell No, or they're going to break them up, Rhodes Scholars are broke up. You got Sin Cara and Rey Mysterio, two guys thrown together. You have the Usos. Is there another team I'm missing? I mean, you have the Usos and you have Rey Mysterio and Sin Cara. And you have Primo and Epico. So it kind of, tag team division sucks in WWE. TNA's is horrible too. So for the tag team in TNA, I'd say Christopher Daniels and Kazarian. For the U.S. title, I think Cesaro's doing a great job. I keep that on him. Intercontinental title. I mean, Barrett should be higher up on the card, I think, but I guess for what they're doing with him right now, it's fine as long as they plan to have him win Money in the Bank or something. Divas, Caitlin's fine. World champion is Del Rio. Maybe have Mark Henry squash Del Rio and put the title back on him, I think would be fine. Have him get another monster heel run, especially since he was drawing ratings on SmackDown as the champion. And WWE champion, I think, should have stayed on CM Punk. And then, how did that work out? You got Cena and Punk. Yeah, I think it would have been better to keep the title on Punk and have someone else beat him, because whoever ended that long reign was going to become a huge star. And even if it was just somebody like Ryback, it still would have really pushed him and made a new star. But instead of doing that, instead of passing the torch to a new guy, they just had The Rock beat him. And in this long, over a year reign, for nothing really, it feels like. And I mean, I'm not completely against The Rock winning. It is something different, but I just think they could have got more out of it if they had somebody like Daniel Bryan beat CM Punk. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a fan of Daniel Bryan. I think he could really be a huge star in WWE, and it wouldn't even have to be him. Just someone new, someone young. Let's make some new stars instead of putting it on The Rock. That's how I feel about that. And TNA, who's the TV champ? Devon? I'd put the X Division title on Kenny King. Put the TV title on... I guess put it back on AJ Styles or Christopher Daniels. And the world title on Bobby Roode or James Storm. Is that all the belts? Knockouts, tag titles. Knockouts titles are fine, I guess. Hope I didn't forget one. In the current era in the WWE, who's your favorite wrestler? Gotta be Daniel Bryan. I'm just a huge fan of his ring work, his character, everything about him. I think he's great. Although Antonio Cesaro is right up there too. That guy is awesome. Top 3 movies that others should watch and why? Oh man. Top 3 movies? Right off the top of my head, if you haven't seen them, Watchmen is awesome. And the only reason that's coming to mind is because I was watching clips of the movie today when Dr. Manhattan kills Rorschach. I was watching it on YouTube. And Sin City is one of my favorite movies of all time. The original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, if you haven't seen that. There's a movie called Wrist Cutters, a love story. It's kind of an indie movie. I think that one's really good. Damn, that's so hard. 'Cause there's a lot of good movies. I'm trying to think of stuff that's more obscure. There's an old horror movie I always loved, I actually own, called Dagon. And it's based on like the H.P. Lovecraft mythos with Cthulhu and everything. And I've always loved that movie. I've probably watched it a ton of times, but it's kind of a more obscure horror movie. Maybe not if you're a big fan of horror movies, but I don't think a lot of people know about that one, but it's called Dagon. I can't even see my DVDs from here. I'll have to do a DVD collection video and talk about some of my DVDs more in depth. Rebel X Youth, 82. If Austin Aries wasn't turned by the WWE years back, do you think he would have made it as big as CM Punk? I think Austin Aries is a great wrestler. His size would really show in WWE though, because I think he's smaller than Daniel Bryan. And I think he could have pulled it off, and he could have been a big star, but I don't think he would be as big as CM Punk. Young Buck 445. What is your last name, and do you have a Facebook? Well, I don't want to give out my last name and kill my mystique. So, sorry, I'm just rereading some of these. And I did create a personal Facebook a couple weeks ago. I finally did, so I will be creating a Facebook for the channel in the future. I had never used Facebook before until a couple weeks ago, so I created a personal one for my family and friends and stuff like that, and now that I know how to use it, I'm going to create one for the channel. Jericho Rocker, you ever watch a Shawshank Redemption? It's one of my favorite movies. That's one of those movies where when it comes on TV, I kind of feel like I have to watch the whole thing. But at the same time, I try to avoid that movie because I've never sat and watched the entire thing again. I watched it once when I was younger, and it is very disturbing. It's a great movie. It's fantastic. But it's really disturbing. That one guy in the prison who's like the sex guy who tries to do all that freaky stuff to him, that really just, I don't like watching that type of shit. It was disturbing. Like this male on male prison rape scene. Screw that shit. And a lot of stuff in that movie was disturbing. The brutal prison guard, the guy who tries to escape or he's getting out or something and they shoot him in the back. Just a really depressing movie. That dude hangs himself, and so I try to avoid watching it. But yeah, it's a great movie. It definitely gets an emotional response out of you. But yeah, some of that stuff, I don't want to watch that. It's like American History X. It's a great movie. I own the movie, but I've only watched it once. And that's enough for me. Requiem for a Dream is another movie that's got a lot of disturbing stuff in it. I watched it once. I will not watch it again. I can tell you what happens. It's burned into my brain, some of those horrible scenes. Too Cool AK7. Can you sub to me, please? That's my question. And when you review a show, can you rate them like a example Raw 9.5? It's really hard for me to rate shows because I don't know. I don't have like a system. I would have to come up with a system of what I would base it on. And then other people would say, well, you need to include this. Like, how many people did a show draw? And it's kind of one of those things where it's hard to please everybody with ratings. And for me, I kind of just say it was good, it was average, it was great, stuff like that. So I don't really have like a rating system or anything. And I don't do sub for sub. It really doesn't help anyone because I don't have a lot of time to watch videos, and I'm glad I never did the whole sub for sub thing, because if you do that when you're just starting your YouTube channel, you're going to get a lot of people who don't watch your videos. They just want a subscriber, and then you can end up with a ton of subscribers and no views. So sub for sub doesn't really help anyone. I would recommend avoiding that when you're starting a channel. HOU12396. Who is your least favorite and most favorite YouTuber? Oh man. Most favorite YouTuber. I have to say the Angry Video Game Nerd is my most favorite. And I've been watching, I'm pretty sure I was one of his first subscribers. Not like first 5 or anything, but probably like first couple thousand. When I first started watching him, he had Karate Kid, he had Castlevania, and he had Ninja Turtles. And it was when YouTube was just getting started. I think it was 2006, 2007. And I didn't know anything about emulators. So there was no way for me to see footage of these old video games except on YouTube. And there wasn't really any of these Let's Plays. I think Angry Video Game Nerd kind of started a lot of that. And his videos were just awesome. And now I think they're still great, but I'm not a big fan of the whole special effects and storylines and crap like that. I like to just watch him play the game and talk about the game, because you can tell he is a huge video game fan and knows what he's talking about. That's the stuff I like to watch it for now. But he does more skits and stuff now, I don't really care for, but I'm still a big fan of him. He's got to be my most favorite YouTuber, because a lot of people I end up kind of drifting away from. I'll watch some YouTubers and I'll watch a ton of their videos and I'll watch them for like a couple months and then I kind of just fade away. But I've always kept watching his videos. Least favorite would probably be somebody like that Irate Gamer. I don't even know if he still makes videos, but I remember he was trying to rip off the Angry Video Game Nerd style there, and people tried to defend him for it, and it was blatant that he was stealing. So I didn't really care for that guy too much, but I wouldn't say he's like my least favorite. I mean, I don't want to be too harsh on him. There's nobody I would really say I can't stand their videos. If I can't stand the videos, I don't watch. Alright, last question. At what age did you start to use glasses? I believe I was 26, so I have not worn them my entire life. I actually didn't even think I needed them, and I started getting these terrible headaches. Like, I can remember it now. I've never had bad headaches, I've never had migraines or any problems like that, and I think when I was 26 I started to get them for like a week. So bad. Like nothing would take it away. It was just terrible pain. And I decided maybe it's my eyes, because my vision felt really blurry to me. But I thought I always had great eyesight, and then I go and get my eyes checked and I realize I didn't. And then you put the glasses on, you're like, holy crap, I needed glasses all this time. It's just one of those types of things. That's a strange name. Alright, last question. Leanya28. Hi, can you please do a review on the movie Sinister and the Strangers? I originally subbed to you because of American Horror Story, but I noticed that you do reviews of older horror movies too. I really enjoy your videos. Keep up the good work. I do need to watch Sinister and finish that video, because the review I did was me just bitching about the theater, really. And The Strangers, I actually have had requests for that movie, so I will try to watch that one sometime and get those done. Right now I got to catch up on the older horror movies. Jericho Rocker, were you a popular standout in high school or a loner? I guess kind of both, really. Well, I wouldn't say I was a loner, no. But I wouldn't say I was like a popular kid either. I kind of just did my own thing. I had my friends and stuff, and we didn't really have a huge school either, so I guess that kind of helped. Everybody knew each other. Eagle with Tourette's 19. Would you rather have a Rikishi stink face or join the Vince McMahon Kiss My Ass Club? That is a badass question right there. Would you rather have a Rikishi stink face or Kiss My Ass Club? Oh, I would have to say the stink face. And I'll tell you why. You take a Rikishi stink face, it sucks. And it's definitely worse than the Kiss My Ass Club as far as how much interaction you're actually having with the ass. But even though it's so terrible, tons of people have been stink-faced. But the Kiss My Ass Club is an exclusive club with only a few members. And once you're in there, it's like history. Everybody remembers. So I would much rather just be like some jobber who takes a stink face than joins the Kiss My Ass Club. Wrestling is so just bizarre at times. Isaiah 1231 CPNYC. Oh wait, this is a continuation of his question. Do you think WWE and TNA are intentionally copying each other? First we had Claire Lynch and AJ Styles, then Cena and AJ Lee, AJ and Dolph, and after that Bully and Brooke. And on 110, when Austin and Rude started bickering like children, I immediately thought of Kane and Bryan. It just seems like they're taking pages out of each other's playbook. And I also forgot to mention Aces and Eights in the Shield, but that's a good thing. The other things I mentioned are entertaining but pointless. I do think they're copying each other, and it seems to be they're copying the absolute worst angles they can from each other. None of the positive stuff. Just horrible stuff, like AJ and Claire Lynch. So, I mean, it's impossible to watch both shows and say there are not definite moments where they had to have been copying each other. I mean, it's clear. So, I don't think it's a huge coincidence. I think they're definitely copying each other there. Which really doesn't make any sense why a company like WWE would need to steal from TNA, of all places. Robin Miagner. What's your job, and do you plan to start doing YouTube as a living once you gain enough subscribers? Right now I work online, and it would be awesome to make money doing YouTube. Nate DG78. Since the second movie of a trilogy seems to be the best one, how would you rank these examples? Order 1 through 5. Terminator 2. Wait, are you asking me to rank them from 1 to 5? Terminator 2, I would say I would give that a 4, just because I'm very, like, I try to save a 5 for like really, really good. Actually, you know what? I'd say Terminator 2 is a 5. Spider-Man 2, I would say, is a 4. Terminator 2 was a classic movie. Spider-Man 2 was a good movie. I liked the first Spider-Man. I thought it was amazing, but it was still mostly an origin story. And I really like Spider-Man 2 because you got to get past the origin. We know who he is, and he can just go and fight a villain. So I would say Spider-Man 2 is a 4. Back to the Future 2, a 3, kind of average. I don't think anything can touch the original Back to the Future. Empire Strikes Back, yes, I'm calling Star Wars a trilogy. Empire Strikes Back would be a, what would I give that? It's between a 4 or a 5 for me. That's my favorite movie in Star Wars, the original trilogy. Well, I guess with the timeline it's after, but The Empire Strikes Back, I actually saw in theaters when they did that thing and they were bringing them back with new stuff or better graphics or something in the mid-90s, I believe it was. And I went and saw that one in theaters, and it's definitely my favorite Star Wars movie. The first one's good. The second one is awesome with Hoth and all of that stuff. And then you have the third movie I didn't really care much for. But the second one is awesome. Definitely my favorite Star Wars movie. And The Dark Knight Rises, that's a 5. Keep up the good work, bro. Dark Knight Rises, definitely a 5. I don't think any Batman movie will ever top that one. Would be amazing if one could. TBH Serial Killer. How do you think Dexter Season 8 is going to end, and do you believe it will be the final season, although the producers say there may be more, perhaps 9 and 10? I hope it's the end. I really do. There's not much more they can do with this storyline, and if they already have planned how they want it to end, and Season 8 is supposed to be the last season, and they know what they want to do, which is going to be something huge. He's going to get caught, he's going to get killed, something like that, and this is already set to be it. And then they turn around later and say, oh, we decided to bring it back for a couple more seasons. It's going to screw everything up. And they're just going to have to backtrack over everything they did, which is just going to make Season 8 look like crap later on. So I really hope that if they have something huge planned for this, they stick with it and end the season. Or end the series, because I didn't care for Season 7. Season 6 was alright. Season 5 I didn't care much for either, so yeah, I think it's about time. You want to go out on top, and even though I personally don't think it's on top right now, a lot of fans are still enjoying the show, and you want to go out on top. You don't want to wait until Dexter turns into some crap show and then end it. Kind of like The Simpsons. Do you think Drew McIntyre, Jack Swagger, Mason Ryan, or Jinder Mahal will ever be used or live up to their true potential? Or do you think WWE will continue to waste them or eventually end up releasing them like Elijah Burke? Well, Mason Ryan has lived up to his true potential. He's doing exactly what he should be doing, which is nothing. He's pretty much terrible. Jinder Mahal they could do more with in the mid-card, I think. Have him as a evil foreigner. Jack Swagger, I think they're finally starting to push a little bit, but I don't have any faith in it. I think Jack Swagger's only being built up for Elimination Chamber, and eventually they're just going to kill him. He's going to go back to being where he was in the mid-card. And Drew McIntyre, I hope, gets out of this slump, because I think he has a lot of potential. And yeah, they pushed him too soon, but if he can get out of this, I think he could become a great mid-card guy and possibly a main event guy, if given the push. But they're doing some damage to him, and some of the stuff they're doing to him, it's hard to come back from. They've given him the losing streak gimmick. At house shows, he was doing a homosexual gimmick, and I have no idea what they're thinking with this guy. 3MB, he seems to be taking to, seems to be working for him a little bit more as far as TV time goes, but I like the heel Sinister Scotsman thing, and I'd like to see him get pushed as that. But yeah, there's no way to really tell if they're going to use them or release them, and they could keep them on there for a while, and then all of a sudden they show up and they're getting a push. Kind of like Zack Ryder. He wasn't doing much for a while, and then he just showed up and was getting a push because he got himself over. Of course, WWE never really did anything with it, but it happened for a little while. Hawks Hockey 88119. How will you feel when Brooke Hogan is the leader of the Aces and Eights and Bully Ray was the good guy? Holy crap, that sounds terrible. Brooke Hogan being the leader of the Aces and Eights. It would be a swerve. It would be a Russo-esque swerve. I could see them doing some type of crap like that. I know Ballser77 thinks it's going to be Dixie Carter. Both would be terrible choices as leaders. Both would make no sense. Why the hell would Brooke Hogan be in charge of a biker gang? Same thing with Dixie. It wouldn't make any sense. It would just be for shock value, and I would feel like, wow, this is a joke, but whatever. TNA likes to do crazy crap like that. Stoop Kid, awesome name. I think that's from Hey Arnold. If that's where you got it from. You seem to fucking hate Randy Orton. Why? Where does Edge rank among the greats to you? You know, about Edge, I kind of feel like when I first heard Edge was going into the Hall of Fame, I gotta be honest, I was like, Edge? Really? But then I was thinking about it, and he did the tag title run and all this stuff with Edge and Christian. He's held the belt a bunch of times. He did a lot for the company. So I guess I could say he does deserve to go in the Hall of Fame. My problem with Edge, I remember when he debuted. And he was running around the streets in a trench coat. That was his gimmick. His move was the downward spiral. And then he joined the Brood. And he was entertaining, but I never really saw him going past the mid-card. And then when he started to get this huge main event push, it's just something about the spear. It was really hard for me to believe Edge beating people with a spear. He's just not a big guy. He's tall, but he's not like Goldberg. When Goldberg hits the spear, it's like, holy shit. If somebody like Ryback speared someone, or when Big Show spears someone. But when Edge speared someone and started winning matches like that, it's like, are you serious? This guy's not big at all. So that was kind of something that threw me off about Edge, but he has had a great career. I do think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. But yeah, ranking him as one of the greatest of all time, I would say I'd probably put him in my top 50, top 30 maybe. I would really have to think about that, but yeah, I do like Edge. It's just when he first started getting that push, I couldn't believe it. Like, Edge of all people. But he did do a good job pulling it off, and he did change his character up, and he did a good job being a heel, so he did win me over. But when he first started that push, I was like, the spear? And I don't know. And he got bigger later on. He was doing that when he was still really small. Oh, and why do I hate Randy Orton? Because he's lazy. And here's a Randy Orton match. He's going to do some selling. He's going to hit a drop kick. He's going to hit a superplex. He's going to do that thing where he grabs their neck and it's like a backbreaker over his leg. He may do, not always, but he may do that move where he throws him up and hits a neck breaker. Did I say superplex? He's going to do the drop down DDT, hit his clotheslines, power slam, RKO. Tell me, is that not every single Randy Orton match? And I don't care. If he did something different, if he turned heel maybe, and which I can't blame all of this on Randy Orton, because I do think he wants to be a heel, and because WWE won't let him do what he wants to do, he's kind of gotten like bored with his role. I think if they turned him heel, he might get a breath of fresh air and kind of, be more enthusiastic, give 110% in the ring. But right now, I feel like he's just doing the bare minimum. He goes out there, collects a paycheck, caters to the crowd, all of that stuff. So that's why I don't like Randy Orton. He bores me. In fact, I think John Cena is more unpredictable than Randy Orton. I mean, holy shit, I can't remember, I think it was a couple months ago, Cena hit a Hurricane Rana in the ring. It was a shitty Hurricane Rana, but it was something different. Jericho Rocker, what are some of your favorite places to go out to eat at? I like a lot of local places. I really like barbecue. I like to go try new barbecue places. Italian restaurants I really like. Japanese food. But a lot of pizza. What's better, Papa John's or Domino's? I'd have to go with Papa John's on that one. I like them both, but Papa John's I eat more. But I like it all pizza. Pizza Hut, Little Caesars, everything. The best places are local Italian places if you want good pizza, though. And what are some of your most hated foods? I never really liked meatloaf. I do not eat that. I won't eat sloppy joes. I won't eat Brussels sprouts. I won't eat cabbage. I don't like salads. Something about lettuce has always tasted like grass to me, and I've never eaten salads. Who's more annoying, Claire Lynch or AJ Lee, and why? I feel bad because I have to say Claire Lynch, but really she wasn't a wrestler. She was just like an actress. But I'd have to say her because AJ, she is annoying, but I don't mind looking at her when she's out there in the ring. So, lately she's been doing good with Ziggler. But yeah, for a while AJ was really annoying. But still, I have to go with Claire Lynch. That was just bad acting. I can't blame all of it on her. Like I said, she's not a wrestler. She was out of her element. The poor girl. When you do something in wrestling, wrestling fans are crazy. And when you do something in wrestling, people are going to remember it forever. And this girl was, what was she, played Olive Oil at Universal Studios. And now people like posted her information all online and stuff like that. And she had to quit because it was going to affect her job and stuff. And I felt bad for her. I mean, she probably thought, hey, this is a great opportunity. It's something else for me to do in the park. And she got booed out of the building every single time. Sad story of Claire Lynch. Zach Kane, gonna come with 2 questions. Would you ever think about reviewing all of the Manias leading up to this year's? And if not, maybe review your 5 favorite. Also, do you think 1999 to 2001 heel Triple H is the best heel this company has ever seen? I'm going to go ahead and say I cannot do all the Manias leading up to this year's. I do not have the time to do that. So I'm not even going to promise it. Top 5 would be a stretch with all the other stuff I'm trying to catch up on. So that is definitely something I would like to do in the future. I know I talked to Jericho Rocker about this before. I would like to do all the Royal Rumbles first. But I would also like to do the other shows, classic shows, at least for the big pay-per-view, Survivor Series, SummerSlams, and do all of them. WrestleMania, there's a lot of WrestleManias. They're long shows, and it would just take me a while to watch them all, take my notes, and then record the video for every single WrestleMania. So it's definitely something I would like to do in the future, but not for this year's. At least not before Mania. Triple H, the best heel this company has ever seen. The best heel this company has ever seen was Vince McMahon. But if you're talking wrestling only, I would still have to say Triple H did a great job, and he would be hard to beat. But there's been some great heels. Iron Sheik. Who else? I'm trying to think here. Bret Hart, I thought, was a great heel with the Hart Foundation, at least in America. NWO weren't really heels. Mankind, I thought, was a good heel when he first showed up and was attacking everybody with the mandible claw. Nation of Domination were pretty good heels. But yeah, greatest of all time, that's a tough one to pick, but Triple H would definitely have to be considered. If based only on wrestling, though, if you're talking about just a heel in general, it's Vince. Stop this here and check the time on this one. You, obviously, American Horror Story, Walking Dead, Dexter. I've been watching that Total Blackout show. That's hilarious. I've been watching King of the Nerds. That's another reality show. I've been watching The Joe Schmo Show. Any other TV shows? There's a lot of shows I want to watch, like Breaking Bad I need to catch up on. Sons of Anarchy I need to catch up on. I actually did watch the first 3 seasons of Sons of Anarchy, I believe, but I kind of got busy and was moving and stuff and wasn't able to watch it. Now I'm behind. And I hear Game of Thrones is really good. A friend of mine told me to start watching that one. The J-Rock Freak. Do you ever watch any wrestling matches from the 70s or 80s? Well, I actually watch those because occasionally like one of my subscribers who I'm good friends with on YouTube about this. I don't understand it. Maybe I'm too old or something, but I know they have a cartoon. I remember these things when I was a kid. Like, it's what, like, guys would have the G.I. Joes, girls would play with My Little Ponies and stuff. So something happened recently. I guess they got a new cartoon and it's really good or something, because people have turned into bronies. If somebody can explain it to me, please do. Insane Tombstone 96. If you could ask The Undertaker one question, what would it be? Probably what his least favorite part of the gimmick has been, his least favorite storyline angle. Because I remember when he had to wear that goofy Phantom of the Opera mask. And I thought that was a little cheesy. Some of the stuff they did with the urn was a little cheesy. The Executioner feud. I'm just curious what Undertaker would say he didn't like. Have you ever met any wrestlers? At Ring of Honor shows, I did meet the Briscoes. You could get RFV089. Apart from wrestling, what other sports do you watch? No other sports. What are your favorite episodes of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia? Nightman Cometh is probably my favorite episode. Any episodes with the Nightman were good. I like the one where Frank and Mac start a sweatshop and they force Charlie and Dee to be the workers, and Dennis tries to sell dresses. I like the Guest Crisis episode. The episode where they find Dumpster Baby. Just so many from the first few seasons. It feels like it kind of went backwards the past 3 seasons, I'd say. But those first few seasons, you cannot beat that show. It is awesome. One of my favorite shows of all time. What TV series do you watch? I watch a lot of stuff. And I'm trying to think what's on my DVR right now. I got a lot of stand-up comedy on there. I like Modern Family, The Middle. The shows I review, Solex would send me some videos of old matches from those eras, and when people send me videos to watch, I'll check them out. Old matches and stuff like Hogan versus Inoki, but I don't like go out of my way to watch a lot of old matches or anything. Especially when there's so many just from the past few eras that I really enjoy. Stuff from the 80s. The late 80s, stuff from the early 90s, stuff from the Attitude Era, stuff from WCW. That's the stuff I typically will go back and rewatch. Early 2000s. Jacob 700E. If it's okay, I'm asking 3. 1, do you like pie? Yes. 2, who do you think is going to win Money in the Bank this year? Probably Antonio Cesaro or Wade Barrett. I would prefer Cesaro. 3, are you a brony? No, I can't even believe that's a thing. Apparently a brony, if you don't know, is somebody who likes My Little Pony. It's bizarre. There's got to be something I'm missing about it. Alright guys, almost 30 minutes on that first part here. Where was I? Who was your favorite wrestler to never be world champion? Godson 92. Once again, I have 2. What is the worst movie you have reviewed for the channel? And have you ever read the manga Uzumaki? I've heard great things about the manga, but I haven't read it myself. Worst movie I've reviewed for the channel. There's been some bad ones. I'd have to say Bride of Chucky, Seed of Chucky. Those were some pretty bad movies. The Woman in Black with Harry Potter was a pretty bad movie. And that Dark Shadows with Johnny Depp was freaking terrible. I hated that movie. I was so bored in the theater for that one. I was surprised just how terrible that movie was. Operation Anime 262. What state are you from? Don't say California or Florida because everyone seems to come from either California or Florida. I'm actually from North Carolina.